Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about my top 15 favourite movies from the year 1980. As I've gone into the 80s now, we're leaving the 70s behind us, I couldn't narrow this down to just 10 movies. So for this decade, for every year of the 80s moving forward, I'm going to be doing top 15 movies, because looking back over the years of the 80s, there's just too many movies to choose from, and it made this an impossible task to do just 10. So 15 is going to be the magic number for this decade. But yeah, just an amazing decade for movies, my personal favorite. But yeah, looking at 1980, the movies I've picked again are all in accordance with IMDb. They all have 1980 against their name. These are just my personal favorite, top 15 favorite movies from 1980. Your list is going to be different to mine, and so it should be. Can't all have the same opinions, otherwise the world will be a boring place. So yeah, that being said, gonna kick it off straight away with number 15, and as usual, all my honourable mentions are going to be down below. So yeah, coming up next, number 15. So coming in at number 15, guys, is Robert Redford's Ordinary People, the movie that actually won Best Picture at the Oscars for 1980. And yeah, this is just a fantastic family drama, starring Donald Sutherland. And yeah, this is just, like I said, it's one of my favourite dramas. I just think this movie is absolutely great. You can see why it won Best Picture. I think it definitely ticks a lot of those boxes that the Academy are looking for. But yeah, this is a really solid entry into 1980. And yeah, like I said, you can definitely see why this won Best Picture. It's just got some absolute fabulous acting in it, and it really showcases Redford's talent as a director as well. But yeah, it just comes in at 15th place for me, as there's just 14 movies I just enjoy more. But yeah, this is a good movie, and it's a solid pick for Best Picture as well. So that is number 15, Ordinary People. So coming up next at number 14, we have Gregorys Girl. Yeah, this is just a fantastic Scottish movie that I really enjoy. I really have a blast with this film. It's so funny. It's so much fun. Pretty much it focuses on Gregory, who is on the football team, but he gets demoted and he gets replaced by this girl called Dorothy, who he becomes absolutely infatuated with. And that's where you think the movie's going to go. It's going to be, he's obsessed with this girl, he's in love with her, and he wants to end up, he's trying everything he can to try and get to know her better, and eventually wants to date her. But the movie, about halfway through, throws in this curveball, and it goes down a completely different path. And I was kind of blown away and really admire the film for doing that. It was just a nice surprise to see. And like I said, the movie's absolutely hysterical. There's so many funny moments in it, and yeah, it's just a brilliant movie that goes under the radar. And yeah, I just think it's great. So that is my number 14 pick, Gregorys Girl. So coming in at number 13, we've got Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull, starring Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Robert De Niro, of course, plays Jake LaMotta, the famous boxer, in this movie, and it's basically a biopic about his life. And yeah, just Scorsese directs the hell out of this movie. I think he did a fantastic job choosing to make the film in black and white as well. The cinematography in this is gorgeous. The soundtrack is great. The boxing fight sequences are really intense and just great, and De Niro gives a fantastic performance. And I think he won Best Actor for this movie as well, which was well deserved. He's just great, and through the stages of LaMotta's life as well, you can tell how committed De Niro was, because he lost and gained weight for the role, and he just looks amazing in the film. And yeah, powerhouse acting, powerhouse directing, and it just leads to this great movie that is just it's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that is my number 13 pick, Raging Bull. So coming in at number 12, we've got an absolutely fantastic British gangster movie, and that is The Long Good Friday, starring Bob Hoskins and Helen Mirren. Really, really gritty British gangster movie. This one, I absolutely love it. I think Bob Hoskins is absolutely great in the lead role. You've also got a young Pierce Brosnan there as well, who's actually quite menacing in this movie. And yeah, it's just everything you'd want from a British gangster movie. It's violent, it's well acted, it's got a fantastic score as well. I absolutely love the soundtrack to this movie. And yeah, Bob Hoskins can be really quite frightening in this film, and it just leads to some really brutal and violent sequences, particularly towards the end. For a movie from 1980, I was kind of blown away by one effect in particular without spoiling it. And yeah, it was just really violent, made me uncomfortable. But the movie's great on the whole, though. I just think it's brilliant. So many good things working for this film that I just really enjoyed. So yeah, that is my next pick, The Long Good Friday. So coming up at number 11, just missing out on the top 10, is another movie with Friday in the title, and it is Friday the 13th, the original. Yeah, this is just a great slasher movie. It's one of those movies, well, series of movies, I should say, where the first one isn't necessarily my favourite or the best, but I think this is the one that started it, the whole Voorhees series of movies, and yeah, the camp slasher movies. This is one that is just synonymous with the genre, and yeah, I love this movie. I love Tom Savini's effects in the film. The way the movie builds up and portrays the killer in the film is just great. The sound design is fantastic, very reminiscent to Halloween without actually copying Halloween, in my opinion. And yeah, I love the reveal at the end, and one of the best jump scares in a horror movie ever towards the end of this film, and I just think it's great. So yeah, that is my number 11 pick, Friday the 13th. So cracking on with the top 10 now, and coming in at 10th place is Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill. Yeah, this is just a fantastic Hitchcockian-esque movie that is just brilliant. I love the cast in this movie as well. Michael Caine, Nancy Allen, Keith Gordon. Yeah, just a brilliant, brilliant suspenseful movie with a fantastic twist at the end as well. It's just absolutely brilliant, this movie. I absolutely love it. One of my favourite Brian De Palma movies. I love that sort of era of his 70s and 80s when he was making movies like this and Blowout, Phantom of the Paradise, Sisters. Yeah, Dressed to Kill is just fantastic, and Michael Caine is absolutely menacing in this movie. And yeah, I just think it's brilliant. So that is my number 10 pick, Dressed to Kill. So coming in at number 9, we've got a comedy from 1980, and it is Caddyshack. Yeah, I love the cast of characters in this movie. Rodney Dangerfield, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase are just, comedic heavy hitters of the time period. And yeah, this movie was just so much fun. I was late to the party with this movie. I didn't see this up until, a few years ago, but I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot. Yeah, just obviously taking place at this country club golf course and all these shenanigans and shoe. Bill Murray's just hilarious when he's on the grounds trying to catch the gopher. It's so much fun. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this movie. I love the Journey soundtrack as well. Well, that's one song in particular they do. And yeah, I just think this movie was so much fun, and I just really enjoyed it and had a good time with it. So yeah, that is my number 9 pick, Caddyshack. So coming in at number 8, we've got a movie starring Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour, and that is Somewhere in Time. Yeah, just a great movie about time travel and romance. I just really love this film. John Barry does an absolutely fantastic score to this movie as well. So it follows Christopher Reeve's character, who is pretty much this playwright, and he's having writer's block. And a woman comes up to him and says, she says something along the lines of, "Don't forget me," and he's kind of just becomes slowly obsessed with that encounter, and he ends up traveling back in time to see Jane Seymour's character, who is the woman he's supposed to fall in love with. And Christopher Plummer as well plays the sort of the villainous role in this movie. And yeah, it just leads to an absolutely brilliant ending, and it's just such a great underrated film, and I just really enjoy it and really appreciate what this movie was going for and what it was trying to do. And you can see how influential the ending to this movie was as well, particularly if you've ever seen the ending of Titanic. I think this movie kind of sort of definitely inspired James Cameron to have a sort of similar ending. But yeah, this is a really, really good movie, and I just really enjoyed it on the whole. So yeah, that is my next pick, Somewhere in Time. So coming up at number 7 is another movie starring Christopher Reeve, and that is Superman 2. This was my favourite Superman movie of Christopher Reeve's growing up as a kid. It's now switched with the first one. I do think that is possibly my favourite now, but I adored Superman 2 growing up as a kid. I think it was because we've already established Krypton in the first movie and Clark Kent, and I just wanted to see Superman, and right off the bat, this movie delivers. Yeah, it's just so much fun. I love the way that this continues on from the first one, where you've got the introduction, as well, the 3 Kryptonians in this movie coming to Metropolis, and they just want to take over and cause havoc. Terrence Stamp as General Zod is just mesmerizing to watch. He's such a great villain. He just chews the scenery, and you can tell he's having an absolute ball in the role. And yeah, I just think Superman 2 is a great sequel. Really, really enjoy it. Really, really entertaining film. It's great to see Gene Hackman back as Lex Luthor as well. And yeah, I just have so much fun with this movie. So yeah, that is my next pick, Superman 2. So coming in at number 6, we have John Carpenter's The Fog. Yeah, just a great follow-up for John Carpenter, this movie, and great way to announce his presence into the 80s. Yeah, just a fantastic movie. The 4K of this is just absolutely exceptional. With it being set on the coast, the way the ocean looks in this movie is just absolutely gorgeous. Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis are great in the roles as well that they're given, and it's just a fantastic ghost movie about this pirate ship, and obviously the fog itself when it comes inland, and the designs of the pirates, the ghosts themselves, are just absolutely terrifying, and it just oozes everything John Carpenter, this movie. It really does. And yeah, I just think it's a great film, and it's a great addition to his filmography. I just absolutely love it. So yeah, that is my number 6 pick, The Fog. So coming up next at number 5, we have David Lynch's The Elephant Man. Yeah, this movie is absolutely fantastic. It's just so well made, so well executed, absolutely gorgeous movie, and it kind of goes against the grain, I think, for David Lynch, this movie. I think out of all of his films, this is the one that follows its story in the most linear way, I guess, because he's just so renowned for being unique and, for lack of a better word, weird with the choices he makes when making a movie. But this one, I think, is most accessible. It's just absolutely brilliant, telling the story of John Merrick, and the whole story and the movie is kind of just a tragedy, really. It's so sad, the outcome of this film and the journey as well. You've got a great cast as well, with Anne Bancroft, Anthony Hopkins, and John Hurt as the lead title, John Merrick himself. And the movie's just heartbreaking, but it is just so well made, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant movie. So yeah, that is my number 5 pick, The Elephant Man. So coming up at number 4, we have John Landis's The Blues Brothers. Yeah, this is just a fantastic, fun movie. I love the chemistry between Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi in this movie as Eli and Elwood. They just absolutely have just great chemistry together as these two brothers who are on a mission from God to get their band back together and just give a fantastic performance. And just what I love so much about this movie is the chase sequences. The movie just doesn't let up at all with its pacing. We never stay in the same place long enough to sort of outstay its welcome. And yeah, it's so fun. It's on the move. It's well paced. Like I said, it's just a brilliant, fun movie. And the music in it as well is just absolutely great. The movie as well is stacked with chock-a-block cameos in this movie as well. A great supporting cast, Carrie Fisher and of course John Candy as well. And obviously you've got so much musical talent in this movie as well. Ray Charles, James Brown, Aretha Franklin. The list just goes on. And yeah, it's such a fun movie. So yeah, that is my number 4 pick, The Blues Brothers. So coming up at number 3, we have Airplane. One of the best comedies from the 80s, if not the best comedy. Yeah, just absolutely fantastic, this film. Just so enjoyable, so funny. Really simple premise as well. Obviously, this plane, the fish on the menus is poison, so everyone sort of ends up becoming sick, and our main lead, who is an ex-pilot, has to sort of take the controls and land the plane safely. And the comedy and jokes in this film just come at you a million miles an hour. There's just no time to breathe. It's just so relentless and unapologetic with the amount of jokes it throws at you. Some land, some don't. No pun intended, but yeah, it's so funny. From everything that takes place on the plane and everything that takes place in the control tower back on land is just so funny. It's so funny. The humour is of course not going to be for everyone, but for me, it really works. And yeah, I just have an absolute blast with this movie. Leslie Nielsen, of course, is great. The way he just plays his role so straight-faced. And yeah, he just delivers a magnificent performance. So yeah, it's just such a funny movie. Yeah, that's Airplane. So yeah, that's my number 3 pick, Airplane. So taking the silver medal now, coming in at number 2, is one of my favourite horror movies. I absolutely just love this film, and it is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Yeah, just what can I say? It's such a well-made film. May not be the best adaptation of the book. I have read the book, and yeah, the movie certainly does deviate from that, and you can tell why. Stephen King did not want his name attached to this film and didn't really like it. But for me, I just think this is such a well-made film. It looks absolutely stunning. The two leads, Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson, are just absolutely phenomenal in this movie, particularly Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance. How he becomes unhinged and completely loses himself to this hotel is just nothing short of mesmerizing. He's terrifying, and it's just a real testament to him as an actor, this film. But like I said, Kubrick as well, he directs the shit out of this film. It looks gorgeous. The music as well in it is just absolutely great. The opening sequence is phenomenal. And yeah, it's just a horror classic. I can't bring anything else to the table about this film. I just absolutely love it and adore it. And yeah, even the ambiguous ending works for me. And yeah, I just think it's a great movie. So coming in at number 2, The Shining. So that leaves us with one movie left from 1980, and for me, it was a no-brainer. This was going to be number 1. It had to be probably the most watched film growing up for me out of any movie on this list. And yeah, coming in at number 1, The Empire Strikes Back. Some people would probably regard this to be the best movie to ever come out of the 80s as a decade. And yeah, for me, this movie definitely is contender for that title. It's one of the best, if not the best sequel ever made. It does everything, in my opinion, that a sequel should do. It's just fantastic filmmaking and storytelling. Everyone loved the first movie, from what I've heard, when it came out, and this one didn't receive that love, I don't think, as much as the first one did when it initially came out. But this has definitely blossomed and grown, I think, since it come out, and people absolutely love this film, and I can see why. And yeah, it just advances the story. It introduces new characters as well as the current ones, and it just takes the story in a direction I absolutely love and just can follow. And obviously this movie gives us the greatest twist in cinema history. It's phenomenal. I won't spoil it in case anyone hasn't seen it, but yeah, it just really works and completely pulls the rug from under your feet if you follow what's gone on in the first film. And yeah, I love this movie. It is a 10 out of 10 for me. It's perfect. If I could give it more, I would. But yeah, I love this film so much, and I just think it's fantastic. Yeah, I just love those types of movies where the bad guy wins, and yeah, that's what this movie does for me. It just really love it. So yeah, that is my number one pick, The Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, those are my top 15 favourite movies from 1980, guys. And yeah, just hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave it there and say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.